How to beat the Molten Acari, the first spider boss, the more or less serious boss that you will encounter in your solo campaign through Outriders. In this video I will show my personal mistakes, my personal learnings, share it with you, and hopefully it will help you in your solo game of Outriders. Please enjoy, let's talk about it. Alright, so Molten Acari is quite fun, but quite annoying as well as a boss in Outriders, especially for a class that prefers close range, such as Devastator or such as Trickster. I beat the boss at level 10, your mileage may vary, but probably will be somewhere in that ballpark if you're just following the campaign. Well, I am getting used to Devastator being quite OP at this point, and I'll be reporting to you my further findings on Devastator in another video, so please stay tuned for that. But when you meet a boss like Molten Acari, like the spider boss, this OP-ness can be quite deceiving. So getting into the fight at level 10 with the default layout of all skills that you were using for other fights, like fighting those enemies that shoot you, might not be the smartest idea, is the main kind of advice that I'd like to give you and start with. Of course, it also depends on the difficulty, general difficulty of the world tier, we'll talk about that as well. But I tried it at world tier 3 first, kind of not to make it too stressful for myself. I wasn't trying to prove anything to anyone, and I was only level 10. So I think I failed not due to the actual world tier difficulty, but because of the ability choice. That's what I think. But you tell me in the comments down below what your findings were like, because I'm sure a lot of you have been already past the boss. Maybe some of you are still trying to beat it. Earthquake as the first ability of the Devastator that I stuck with, and that is a very prominent good ability. I still recommend to use it. It still works, especially if you have any mods on your weapons or armor that give you 2 charges. Because being able to hit Molten Acari from relative distance strongly, like fairly frequently, twice, is good, yes? Bullet Reflect, that by default is known to be an overpowered ability, very OP, kind of in other fights where enemies are shooting you, here basically doesn't work. It's absolutely useless, so keeping it on your bars is actually hurting yourself in terms of options of what you can do. Gravity Leap does a lot of damage, but it brings you close, very face-to-face to the target, and it really doesn't help here, as kind of the footage in the background shows or will show you in a second. So my recommendation is, first of all, change your skills to those that deal damage at range, or that save you from damage, obviously, which at this level for me were Earthquake, as I already said, double charges, so I had double charges on Earthquake, that is great. I changed to Impale. Impale also happened to have double charges because of the mods that I had, and the only shielding ability at this level 10 at the very least was Golem, self-shielding. Better than nothing, my friends, better than nothing. That is just what it is. In the fight itself, unless it's fairly obvious to you, well, prioritize mobility. Prioritize getting out of the damage pattern that's telegraphed on the ground by the spider. That is the priority, and dealing damage is secondary. So obvious, you want to gain distance. Also obvious that for Devastator, this is a disadvantage, because by design Devastator is not built for that. The gaining distance is the opposite of what you're training yourself as a Devastator and what Devastators would normally want to do. You would want to get close to the enemy. In this case, you don't. But at the same time, having said that, trying to gain distance, trying to run around, etc., all the obvious stuff, still, as the footage in the background shows, you need to, well, somehow balance the running around and dealing damage. So don't forget to do damage is my point, otherwise the fight will just get too drawn out and the spider will get you in the end. So if, in my situation, the world tier 3 is still kind of a little bit too hard, the fight is too long and all that kind of stuff, don't forget that the game has dynamic difficulty system. It's similar to the torment levels in Diablo, where if things get too difficult, you can just step down one. So switch the world tiers, don't try and prove anything to anyone. Switch the world tiers to 1 down. I switched to world tier 2 because, look, at the end of the day, this is the easiest option. It might hurt your ego a little, but it will save you the leveling and campaign progression time, which is the most important thing. And in my opinion, again, it's probably absolutely worth it. So it's worth saving yourself the time. You don't want to trivialize the content, you want still it to be fun, but at the same time, what's the point of banging your head against the wall? Well, another obvious thing to point out here is that during the fight, aim at the exposed molten orange bits. They will not appear straight away, but they will appear later in the stages of the fight. Stay out of fire as well, that is quite obvious as well. But when I say obvious, look, all of these might not be super obvious, especially the first time you're trying it, in all the craziness going on there. It's the first proper boss fight, once again, at least it feels like one. So you will just try and frantically stay alive, which is very understandable, and that is why all the tactics goes out of the window, you know, as the famous saying goes, all your battle plan goes out of the window when you get punched in the face. That is kind of what this is about. Look, Devastator is currently my main. I beat the boss at level 10, as I said, and I take my time always playing the games. I don't try to blast through the content and be the very first one to publish some information for you. It's coming your way very nicely, and I'm a gamer first and YouTuber whatever second. So I don't blast through games, I take my time and enjoy. That's what I'm doing right now. At the moment, my Devastator is actually level 15, so I did play quite a bit of it, and there are more kind of information sharing sessions like this one coming to you. If you're not subscribed yet, but you are into Outriders and you're a casual player, then this is probably the place for you. Consider liking the video, consider subscribing to the channel for more similar updates, and share your own findings. We always welcome findings and just comments from people in the comments down below, because that's very welcome, helps our community grow and helps us all have fun and learn from each other. I hope this was helpful in case you had no idea how to beat this boss, especially with a class that's more of a melee focused class. It's harder for those classes. The ranged classes would benefit, would like be more stronger here, performing better and easier and more intuitive with this boss. But hopefully this was helpful, and I'll be speaking with you again in a couple of days time on this channel. Videos are being released twice a week. See you later. Thanks very much for tuning in. Bye bye for now.